Okay. Frag the Gemara. We are in Daf Pei Beis Amud Beis in the bottom of the page. Yeah, excuse my hoarse voice. Okay. V'chochmas Yavonis Miyasira. We said yesterday that one is not allowed to study Greek philosophy. Read the Chochmas Yavonis. What Chochmas Yavonis means in the Havamina, actually, we thought you're not allowed to study the Greek language. At this point, the Gemara thinks that the prohibition was not to study Greek. That's it. Can't study Greek. Why? Because that old man, that dirty old man, the one who told the Romans, I guess he spoke Greek, he told them about the secret of the success of the Jewish nation. And that's how the destruction came about. Not the final destruction, but the story with the pig that, held Titan to the wall. So because of that, one of the things that they made Xera is don't breed pigs, and also don't study Greek. So it's not so simple. Now we're going to see what Chochmas Yavonis means. Frag the Gemara, the Chochmas Yavonis Miyasira. Is that so? Are you really not allowed to study Greek? Tanya. It says in the Brisa, not like that. Omar Rebbe says, Be'eretz Yisrael, Loshon Sursi Lama. Why shall we be speaking Loshon Sursi? Sursi means two things. Rebbe was against people in Eretz Yisrael speaking Sursi. What's Sursi? So Sursi is, according to, I'm combining Tosis and other Meforshim, Sursi is the Aramaic dialect that was spoken in Syria. There are at least two, if not three, Aramaic dialects, just like you have American and English, and everybody knows what's the correct form of English. Yes. No, start fighting. No, I'm expecting some fight. He's too busy. So the kids. So if so too, there was a Syrian dialect. Susi also means mesuras. Mesuras means like convoluted, orchestrated. So Loshen Susi, why shall we be speaking such bad language? You don't speak properly. What's the problem? Says the Ein Avram, the Persian Ein Yaakov, Rebbe wanted people to be Ish Medini, a person of speaks normal, behaves properly, like a Medina, somebody who's well behaved, a mensch, So why do you speak Sursi? Or Loshen HaKodesh. Either you speak proper Loshen HaKodesh, or Loshen Yavonis. Either you speak proper Loshen HaKodesh, or you speak proper English, Greek. In other words, don't speak some gibberish, some yeshivish English. Don't mix and match and speak like, whatever. English. Speak either a good Hebrew or good Yavani. Vama b'yosi. And another statement, Rabbi Yosi. Bavel. In Bavel, Loshan Arami Lama. Why do we speak Aramaic in Bavel? Aramaic is not a good language. Aramaic is the Aramaic dialect of Bavel, of Iraq. If you notice, by the way, the Targum Yonason and Unkelus and the words of the Gemara are different. It's not the same Aramaic. I noticed a few differences myself. I don't have to go to other sources. The word frog, how do you say frog in Aramaic? No? So, Urdanaya. So in the Targum, it says Urdanaya in the plagues of Egypt. And when you look at Sfarda in the Gemara, it's called Akrukta, like croak in English. So it's not the same word. How do you say city? How do you say city in Aramaic? Karta is a big city, and that appears all the time in the Targum of the Torah. In the Gemara, the word Mata is much, much more common. Although Mata may be a smaller town, but the word Karta barely exists in the Gemara. So you have different dialects within Aramaic. In any event, Rabbi Yossi says, Bavel, Loshan Arami Lama. Why do we speak this low-class Aramaic? Or Loshan HaKodesh. Either you want to be a Jewish scholar, speak Loshan HaKodesh, or Loshan Parsi, or speak Persian. Persian, that's a nice language. That's a language of Ahmadinejad. Persian, that's the right thing. In other words, in Eretz Yisrael, they were closer to Greek, and in Bavel, they were closer to Persia. So either you speak your Lashon HaKodesh like a good Jew properly, or you speak the best language in your area, the most educated language. So we see that the Tanoim actually encouraged people to speak Greek. And if Chochmas Yavonis just means Greek, the language, and you tell me not to study Greek as a Gzera, well, here you see they were dafka pro speaking Greek for Bnei Eretz Yisrael. What's the story? Amri. So the Bnei Shiva answered, Loshen Yavoni Lechud, Chochmes Yavonis Lechud. Loshen Yavoni is just a Greek language which every Tom, Dick, and Harry speak in Athens or in Saloniki. That's Yavonis. Chochmas Yavonis is not philosophy, my good friend. Chochmas Yavonis, I saw it in a few Rishonim, is the very high dialect of the gentry, of the royal people in Greek, which others wouldn't understood. What actually is the story with the Chochmas Yavonis? What was the origin of the Gzera? That old man, he spoke in codes. He didn't want the other Jews to understand. So the way he spoke to them, or he wrote the message in whichever way conveyed it, was in like a code that only the very, very academic Greek understood. That level of Greek you should not learn. That Chochmas Yavonis, the language that only those few select understand, and you become the buddy, and you can actually liaise with them and be their friend, that's already Nishka, that's not a good thing. And still we ask, and we still attack. Is it true that Chochmas Yavonis is forbidden? This is a statement. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel quotes a pasuk that was said by Yirmiyahu, but also relates to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel's own life. Eini oilolo lenafshi mikol benois iri. My eye is ready. Oilolo is like Rashi says, "Minavelis es eini." In other words, it's like menuval. My eye is so full of tears that it's already like menuval. It's already like already worn and torn, worn out from crying. Yeah, my eye. Mikol benois iri, from everybody else in town. I'm the one that has the worst fate of everybody else. Says Rashbag about himself, just like Yirmiyahu said about himself. Why? Elef Yelodim hoyu b'beis Abba. There were 1,000 children in my family of origin, in my father's household. I don't think he had 1,000 brothers, probably cousin, second cousin. A good Yerushalmi family has 1,000 descendants. Like we had 1,000 descendants of Reb Shimon Gamliel. Who was he? Nossi. Reb Gamliel was a Nossi. They are the families of the family of the prince, the Nossi. 500 out of them they learned Torah. 500 lomdu Chochmas Yavonis. And 500 studied Chochmas Yavonis, the Greek, the very high language of the Yavonim. The only ones that survived after the Churban, I stayed here in Eretz Yisrael. Ben Achi Abba be'Asya. Ben Achi Abba is really a cousin, right? My cousin stayed be'Asya. There's a place called Asya mentioned in Shabbos. I don't know if it's Asia. I don't think it's Asia. Asia is a very big continent. In an area called Asya outside Eretz Yisrael. In any event, one thing you see for sure, very sad how they're all destroyed. So that reminds of the Holocaust, by the way. Right? Very, very big families. My own father had 50 cousins, maybe at least, if not 60, and only 6 survived. Yeah, the war. Yeah, 5. Yeah. So here we are. But however, the sad thing here is that we're not clear about studying Chochmas Yavonis. You told me the high language you're not allowed to learn. And here 500 people from Beis Rebbe are studying very high level Greek, Chochmas Yavonis. So what's going on over here? Amri, the answer, Shiny Beis Rabban Gamliel. Beis Rabban Gamliel is a different kind of story. Shekroivim HaMalchus. They were close to the Malchus because they were people that were actually very much in touch with the Melech. Yeah, they were in touch with the Melech of whoever, the Greek or the Romans. They had to learn the language. So they got special permission, dispensation, that they can learn that because they actually have to deal with the Melech. That's a different kind of story. Yeah, like let's say reading all kinds of literature. Many times, certain Sfarim, you're not supposed to learn Sfarim of nobody here would recommend reading the New Testament. Yeah, somebody who fights the missionaries, he would read the New Testament if he knows he does it all specifically. I'm not giving tzakaloch, but I know people in Kiruv who do that. They study. You have to beat them at their own field, kind of thing. So, but it doesn't mean every Jewish household would have New Testament. What? To know how to answer. Exactly what Yitzchak is saying. Ukedetanya, as we see in the Brisa, a mesaper komi. Komi was a kind of haircut in which they would cut their hair very short over here and only leave the hair long in the back, either long hair or like a strip of hair. And some say komi is unfortunately common today, is what many youngsters do. It's the opposite of me. They shave over here and they have a lot of hair over here. I do just the other way around to show that I'm not goyish. That's why I'm like, okay. So Mesaper Komi, the one who has a goyish haircut, so you're not supposed to have a haircut which is distinctively goyish. You're not supposed to dress exactly like a goy. You're supposed to have some kind of, distinction that you're Jewish, and that's dark Yamoiri, Isor Doraisa. So somebody goes with a haircut, wears a haircut which is very goyish, so then that's dark Yamoiri. However, Avtul Musbar Reuven, Avtul Musbar Reuven, Etiu L'Saper Komi, Mipnei Shu Korev L'Malchus. Avtul Musbar Reuven, he got permission to dress like a goy and even have a goyish haircut because he was close to the king. And there is a very beautiful story in Me'ilah. Avtul ben Reuven went to speak to the royal council of the Romans because the Romans did 3 gzeros. Yeah, Chat Pami, the cell phones, the Romans had 3 gzeros. One gzera was the gzera of not to do bris milah. One gzera was not to do tarsa mishpacha and not to keep Shabbos. So he dressed up like a goy, he spoke like a goy, and he basically infiltrated. And he came to the council, to the wherever they decide, the Romans in their parliament, and he came and he started saying, "What, you are enemies, the Jews? You tell them not to keep. Not to keep Shabbos. Let them keep Shabbos. They lose money. 1 day a week, they're not working. They're going to lose money. Yeah, very good. He's saying against bris milah. Let them have bris milah. That weakens them. It makes the Jews weaker. The men become weaker. Let them have bris milah. You against Tarsa Mishpacha? I'm pro. 2 weeks off means less children." So he twisted everything as what? As kilo for the good of the Romans. Unfortunately, at the end, they discovered he's Jewish. They figured he's like too good for the Jews. So I don't think they did anything to him. It doesn't say. But Lamaisa, he did his best to dress like a goy, and he got permission in order to be a spy, basically to infiltrate, be a mole. So then he has special permission. Now, I'll just finish a sentence and I'll say more. Shall base Rabban Gamliel, the household of Rabban Gamliel the Nosi, they're allowed to talk the very high academic Greek, they're close to the king, because the Beis Yosef says, the son of yesterday, in every generation you have a shtadlan, you have a lobbyist, right? In America, for sure, you have a guy who knows how to talk to the mayor and to the governor. You have it in Gibraltar, big time. You have it wherever I know, in New England. You always need the Askonim to talk to the Malchus. So those people can't exactly always, look and sound like Chaim Yankel, I'm saying the water carrier. They have to look nicer and speak nicer and be with it. And they're allowed to know things that other people are not allowed to know. And now, Frek, the Beis Yosef, how is that allowed? If Mela Xeris Yavonis is a Rabbanon, Rabbanon can play around with that. But to Mamash have a goyish haircut, if you say it's Doraisa, how can you allow that? So one of the answers is really Sekonis Nefashos. Sometimes the Mamash save the Jewish people, and also another answer is because it's not mefurish in the Torah what's called goyish lavush. That's already up to our interpretation. It's a big machloikes. If you're allowed to wear a short jacket, you have to have a kapete. that Ramesh discusses it. Yeah, he says short jacket is okay. But Lamaisa, there's a very big question: where do you draw the line with goy shalavush? But Lamaisa, since it's not so clearly defined, it's not eating chazir. Chazir is chazir. You can't eat chazir when you go to dine with De Blasio, right? Is he still no? Who's that? Who won? The tall black guy? Adams, Eric Adams. I'm not in touch. So if you go to lunch with Eric Adams in order to save the Jews of New York, help the Jews, you can't eat chazer with him because that's Mamsh Yisro Doraisa. But to dress nice, to dress like you go, the Haredi guy can come with a mohawk here. That's allowed because it's not so defined. That's goish. In that case, Chachamim said we're redefining it just for the purpose of the lobbyists who's helping the Jewish people. Same thing with Rabban Gamliel. Sorry?
Sometimes you need
to Esther had to keep quiet. She had to keep quiet, right? She should not be quiet. She should talk to the king. Very good. Esther was the first Askan in history, I think. Yeah, in the Chinami. Very good. Good. That's actually a good point. Like Mordechai told her, you don't be quiet. You have to talk to the Goyish king in order to. That's how we are. We're in the Golus. Weiter, my favorite topic. Here comes the dog. You're only allowed to, you should not breed a dog unless the dog is tied with a shalsheles, with a chain. Yeah, you can have a dog only if the dog is chained to where? To the post, somewhere in your house. So again, bepashtus, although it's a machloikis, pashtus would talk about what kind of dog. A dog that does biting dog, or even a dog that actually barks. We all know the statement, the one who barks doesn't bite, but not everybody feels that. And as we're going to see now, people can get really scared stiff of a barking dog. It can even be very hazardous, as we're going to see. And therefore, even if your dog looks scary and behaves scary, even if he doesn't actually bite anybody, you're not allowed to keep it unless it's tied in a shalshelis in an indoor area where nobody, doesn't come in touch with any human being outside your family. Tonu Abonon says the Brisa, Lo yigadel odem es hakelev, enem ken koshu b'shalsheles. Unless the dog is b'shalsheles, that's a chain. If not for that, don't breed the dog. You have to say goodbye to your best friend. Aval megadelu ba'ir asmucha lasfar. When it comes to sitting near the sfar, what's a sfar? Border. Ir sfar, like they say today in Hebrew. Ir sfar. A border city, a city by the border, you're allowed to breed your dog over there. What does the border have to do with the price of dogs? Why? Because that's dangerous. Just like today, some things never change. Just like today, the border with Lebanon, the border with Gaza, dangerous. And Goy may come in, and they're scared of dogs. Need to have a guard dog because they live in a dangerous area. You can also argue, and I think that's mentioned in Halacha, that if you're in a bad neighborhood, you're in a neighborhood you need protection, nothing else can protect you. You need the bad dog to, stave off the criminals, whoever. Then you're allowed to have it, but that's only that situation and not otherwise. Of course, as I said many times, there are many other halachic issues with dogs. Whoever wants to dafka by a dog, he thinks that's a good friend. Issues of Shabbos, issues of taking it to Shabbos, castrating is a very, 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 very big problem. It's not so simple to give it to a goy, you castrate, and then you buy the back of him. It's a rather unhelpful loophole that's mentioned in the Ramah as a not so happy about it. So anyway, there are a lot of issues around that. Besides the shkafic issues, I'll keep quiet now. You okay?
Someone walking up the whole thing on my feet, so I guess now I know it's not dangerous.
They're scared of me. Scared of me. What will I do? You're supposed, even by the sfar, even when you are by the border, during the day, I guess it wasn't so dangerous because one of the sekonos of the sfar was the people also coming to steal from the border. That also happens. The mistanen, they infiltrate through the border, they steal and they go back to their places. So koishroi bayoim, you're supposed to tie it by daytime because then it's not dangerous. Umatiloi balayla, only by night when you're scared of the people coming, you're allowed to have the dog running around town. The people of the town themselves, we hope, are asleep. They're ganovim from the other side of the border. They are going to be intimidated by the dog running around. That does his job. That's about it. It's very limited. Tanya, 1 second, please. I'm sorry that I have to stop a second. Tanya. Rabbi Lezer Agadol Oimer. Rabbi Lezer Agadol, the Rabbi Lezer the Great, one of the Tanoim says, "Amegadel klovim kim gadel chazirim." He's giving you now a different title. Whoever breeds dogs, it's as if he breeds pigs. Now the question is, Lamain of Kamina, why are you giving me this title? You compare it to the one breeding chazirim. We already said both are osir, right? Both klovim are osir, and both chazirim is osir. What's this comparison? You know, if you breed a dog, it's tantamount to breeding a pig. Well, what's this extra dramatic statement? What are you coming to tell me by that extra thing, like a pig? Answers the Gemara, Lemeike malebe. Oh, wow. If you remember, Sam Gzeres Chazal says one of the Forshim on the Rosh in Shabbos Korban Esanel maybe, he says, Ein ladam is Gzeres Chachomim zu lazu. You can't compare the Gzeres of Chachomim one to the other. Why? Because sometimes Chachomim make a Gzer that's very strong, and sometimes Gzeres Chazal is weaker, and you have to just learn and know which one's weaker than the other, and the Rav would know, a very, very great Rav would know when to be flexible. Here, if you remember, we spoke about the Chazirim in the previous page, and it says, Oh, Odom Shigadel Chazirim, right? It says, cursed is the man, accursed. Cursed is the man that teaches his kid Chochmas Yevonis. Cursed is the man that breeds Chazirim. But the dogs, we didn't say that. We said, don't do that. It doesn't mean that you're cursed if you are. Here, Rabbi Lozer Godel says, yes, the level of prohibition of breeding a dog, at least one that looks scary and behaves scary, is that bad. It's equivalent to having a chazer, and having a chazer is, the person lo aleinu will be cursed, will not have bracha. Who wants that? Who wants to raise a dog that's questionably scary? Because many times it's a gray area. I don't want a greyhound. A gray area, what's called scary, what's not. But just be aware, if you breed a dog that falls under the wrong category, you're in orur, baby. Orur means no bracha. Children, money, everything we want, whatever. Tzlocha, shalom bayis. You willing to risk it? Okay, good for you. I'm saying interesting. Amar Rav Yosef bar Mani Omer of Nachman. Bavel, in Bavel, he says, Ke'ira smucha l'sfar dami. Bavel is like a town which is near the Sfar, which means the Jewish area. We think about the border of Eretz Israel. And again, Bavel was almost copy and paste of Eretz Israel. Just like today, Stamford Hill, gold is green. I'm moving from America to England now, You have a highly populated Jewish area. And let's say by the border of that area is a bad neighborhood. It's the same thing. You're not supposed to breed your dog if you're in the middle of the Jewish area. But if you're by the border of Bavel, border of Jewish neighborhood X, and the other side of the border is a bad place, then if you live in those areas outside, the outskirts, you're allowed to breed a dog over there for protection. Tirgama, Nardo. And the Targum, the translation of such a place in Bavel is Nardo. Nardo happened to be the city which was like by the border, by the margin of the Jewish area of Bavel, which was a whole very big area in Bavel, full of Jewish people. Nardo was the border. If you live there, you dafka want to breed a dog, do it in Nardo, because you can do it there for safety reasons. Dorish Abdestoy the Minberi, more on the same. Abdestov on Beri, he made a drosha. It says, the Midbar, Baloischo, I think, when the Oron rested, when the Oron came to a machane, to a halt, stop, then Moshe would say, Shuva Hashem, Riva voice, Alfei Yisrael. Come back Hashem to the Riva voice, Alfei Yisrael. Riva voice are 2 Revava. Revava is 10,000, so 2 Revavos are 20,000. Alfei are thousands. What's the minimum of thousands? 2,000. That teaches you. She'en Shechina Shoyer al Yisrael Pachos mishnei alofim u'shnei revovois chaser achas, which means if you have 22,000 Jews, then you have a Shrosh Shechina. What does that mean? I don't know. I looked high and low. The mice, sometimes they say 600,000. If you see 600,000 Jews together, you make a special bracha. 22,000 was the number of the Levim. This points that out to the gears, all right? So the Levim were the holiest of the holy. They were the holiest Shevet. There were 22,000. So 22,000 is a very significant number. When you have that amount of Jews in the world, then the Shechin, or in one place, whatever, let's say 22,000 Jews in the world, it's very little. But that number is the minimum number to have some kind of a new energy of Shechina. Now, imagine yourself here, we have to read the Girsam. The Bach says, you look at the Bach in the corner, imagine yourself this situation. We have 22,000 minus 1. Minus 1. Let's say there are 22,000 people in town, and if one more child will be born, that will be it. He'll make it up to the number, to the quota of 22,000. How much is 22,000 minus 1? Whatever. So then, so imagine yourself there was that amount of people, minus 1. I was expecting Prince Abela to give birth, and her baby will make it up. Now will meet the quota of Shrosh Shechina. So says the Gemara, "V'hoisa isha meuberes b'neim." Imagine yourself amongst that group of Jews. There's one woman meuberes, one lady who's pregnant. Now, if her baby is born, that will. I actually don't think there's a difference between boys and girls. It says Israel. So now, whatever is going to be born will be suitable lashlim to make up the number. Just imagine if a dog would bark at her, and then she would miscarry, obviously by mistake, because she's too scared and agitated and the whole thing, and she just miscarries, loses the baby. Comes out that the dog owner so the dog, it's funny, why is it funny? The dog owner causes the Shechina to go away, to remove itself from Israel. Not funny at all. In other words, we have a situation here, besides the fact he lost a life. That's bad enough. But it's not just that one baby's life. That baby is part of a bigger picture. That baby is part of Klal Yisrael. So the baby that she miscarried is part of a story. It's a puzzle piece in the puzzle. And you, Mr. Dog owner, or you think I'm just owning a dog and the dog barked too much. The dog's barking. She'll have another child. No, you just missed the opportunity of having a Shrosh Shechina, let alone all the abortions they do nowadays. It's terrible. I read in the Brut that it's really bad, the situation in this country. Nervoim. So, there was a woman, more in the same. There was a woman, the Olas Lemeifa, she went in to Meifa to bake. It was like a public bakery, maybe, meaning where people can bake their own bread. In a house, there was a house where people would bake, like a rent an oven. That was very common. We learned it already before. A dog barked at her. All of a sudden, running out of nowhere, came a dog and barked. Omar Lamare. So the owner of the dog told her, like the Oldu, not to stop him he was caressing the head of his pit bull box or whatever, German Shepherd, dingo. Oh, don't be scared of him. Yeah, Shakuli Nive. I already took away his, I knew the nice word, cannon teeth. I took away his cannon teeth. Nive is these, also by human beings. These are Nivim, by humans also, the 4 sharp ones, and cannon teeth. K9. Shakli Nive. I took away his cannon teeth, which means it's not really harmful. Yeah, he barks, but he doesn't bite. On relay, so she replied very cynically, Shkili tivusech, take away your favor. You did me a big favor, mister. Take your favor, and throw it on the thorn bush. Throw it on the thorns, like, thank you very much. Kvarnad velad. The baby already moved. Nad. Baby already, I can feel inside that the baby moved, was already detached from its source of life. So that's called in English, too late. And that was the story. And here, Ein pois nishben leyonim. We saw in the Mishnah. Any questions, comments? Okay. I think today the shiur will be shorter. Right? As it is, I can't talk. Ein porsi nicht bin layonim. We're about to finish the perek. Rabbi Isa is so exciting. What did we say in the Mishnah? Let's go back to the Mishnah. We said that when you want to hunt some pigeons from Hefker, yeah, you go to the middle of the field, far enough from the populated area, far from where the pigeons are owned by people. Go very far. How far should you go? You should go 4 mil. Shloishim ris, which are 4 milim. The Mishnah says, I just want to make sure I have the right. Yeah, Shloishim ris, I was right by mistake, by chance. In Daf Ein Tes Amud Beis, at the end of the Mishnah, you can go back there if you want. The end of the Mishnah says, Ein post in Ishoibim Layonim. You're only allowed to spread traps in order to trap the yonim, the doves, the pigeons. Where are you allowed to do that? Only if you are 30 ris away from the city. Says Rashi, that's 4 million. 4 million, that's far. Alba million, that's each mil is 1,000 amos. 4 million is 4,000 amos. Yeah, that's 2,000 meters. That's 2 kilometers. That's a distance. And only there, 2 kilometers away from town, more or less 2 kilometers, that's where you're allowed to start your first ishbin, because we don't assume the yonim are going to fly further than that. Yeah, pigeons are not storks. They don't go all the way to Denmark. They are limited in their energy, how much they fly in one go. Therefore, once it's that far, that's good enough. Perek the Gemara asks the question: Umi azli kuli hai? Umi azli kuli hai? Do they really go that far? Azli means to go. In this case, to fly. Do they fly that far? Is that so? That none. I'll bring you a Mishnah from the second perek of Bava Basra. You all remember, second perek of Bava Basra is all about how far you should go from your neighbor, not to disturb your neighbor. That none. Marchikin is a shoivach mina'ir chamishim amo. It's the other way around. The Mishnah says, let's say I don't want to hunt the pigeons. I'm the pigeon owner. I'm the dove owner, and I want my yonim to live somewhere. The shovach is like a dovecot, and I want to relocate my dovecot right near the field. You can't place it right next to the field because your yona is going to jump down, and start eating all the produce of the field, the wheat, the barley, and the corn, and the rice, and you name it. It's going to eat. That's not good. So what should you do? You should distance it from the town. The town is where agriculture took place. You should remove it from the town, distance it from the town, 50 amos. Said two, that's it. Which means that we're not concerned when it comes to the other way around, the dove coming to town, flying to the field/town, we're only concerned about 50 amos, not 2,000. So what's the story? How far are we concerned about the yonim flying? 50 amos or 2,000 amos? Yeah, 4,000. Excuse me, 4,000. Amar Abaye says Abaye depends. Meisha shaiti tuva. When you talk about shait cruising along, which means flying, they can fly far. Of course, the dove can fly. The daled 4,000 amos, daled million. Oh yeah, but that's by us. That's by us. We're concerned about catching them. Mashenkin over there, you're concerned about them eating something else. But when it comes to filling their tummy, it's only 50 amos, which means a bird actually walks or even flies to the next available field, and that's only 50 amos. It can fly further. Why should it fly further? I can drive my car, Baruch Hashem, all the way to Nahariya. But if I want to buy bread and milk, why don't I drive to Nahariya? Why should I? I have your Zol Begadol right here. Yeah. In other words, if the field is close by 50 amos, look at the Lashon of Rashi, the Mashen Melaktos, the third Rashi from the bottom. The Mashen Melaktos umenakros bakarka melein b'chamishim amo. What they pick from the ground, the birds always pick off the ground. They are happy. Chamishim amo. Once or 50 amos far, they're satisfied with that. They're not going to go further than that to find food unless they're very hungry. In other words, once I'm 50 ames away, 51, once it's out of their normal radar of going to pick and walk and eat, that for eating purposes, more than 50, I don't have to be concerned. Shaken when they stop fly, because they fly for fun, fly for whatever, then they can fly even 4,000 amos. And therefore, we're about catching them, me catching them, not them catching the food. But it's the other way around. I'm concerned I would catch them. Then we say it's 4,000 amos. Greg the Gemara, good, yeah. Okay, what's the question? Okay. I love the article. I was just corrected, and I was told that a meal is 2,000 amas. Okay, good, fine. If so, beseder. I don't remember like that, but I'll check it again. For now, I'll go with you, and you're probably right. And the meal is so one meal is 2,000, and you have to keep the distance of 4 meal, which is 8,000 amas. That's really far. And 8,000 amas is in meters, 4 kilometers. Meters, 4 kilometers. Okay. Weiter. Frag the Gemara umeishat. We are in the fourth wide line, middle of the wide lines. Frag the Gemara umeishat shloishim ris v'tu loy. Is it true that they can only fly or tend to fly shloishim ris, which we decided now is 8,000 amas, 4 kilometers, and that's it? Tanya says in the Brisa, by Yishuv, when it comes to populated area, an area populated with people and doves and everything, afilu 100 mil lo yifrois, even 100 mil, you should not bichlal. Just 100 mil is like very, very far. Don't have, when you have an area populated by whatever that is, we'll see soon, don't have bichlal your dove trap there. Not even 100 mil. Just stay out of sight. Very, very far. Here you're telling me how much? You're telling me only 4 mil. And you're saying 100 mil, not even that, because the dove can fly very, very far. What's the story over here? Of Yosef Omar, answers the Gemara, of Yosef Omar, B'yishuv Kromim. Of Yosef says, we're talking here about the Yishuv of Kromim. There's a place densely populated with vineyards, and therefore there they can have many, what's called in English, stopover. Yeah, birds are like airplanes, or just the other way around, yeah. Airplanes, some of them at least can fly one shot all the way from Israel to Australia. There's a stopover in Thailand or China. Maybe they can, I don't know, but I don't know. I'm sure some can. But saying in theory, let's say the old style airplane doesn't have enough fuel, enough engine to fly all the way. It takes a stopover. Stopover, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, the first planes, remember, right? They told me in the 50s that have many, many stopovers in the 40s. Yeah, you had a lot of stopovers because they didn't have enough this. So same thing over here. When the dove goes in one shot, it goes how much? It goes only 4 mil. But if it's an area with one kerem and another kerem and another kerem, it can every time land in a different vineyard/airport, stop over, guest for air, say hello to all the friends, eat some food, and then again and again and again. So in such an area, when you start from the city and there's vineyard, then you should definitely not even have 100 amas under the meal, because it has stopovers all the time, right? But if there's none of that, if it's just clear area, clear sky, with no stopovers in the middle, then it's only 4 mil. And Rabbi says we're talking here about the issue of Shevachin. There is an area full of Shevachs, an area full out of that town, right outside the town. There are many, many dove cots, many little houses of the doves, the dove cots. And there, the pigeon that starts from town can say hello to this one and stop and rest, and another one, and another one, another one. There's so many stopovers in the form of shoivach. What can be friendlier than that? And then, therefore, in such a case, you should really keep your nishbin, the place to hunt the what's the name, the shoivach. You should keep it very, very far. But the Gemara, excuse me, if you're telling me that there are all these dove areas in the area, so that themselves is a problem. You're concerned about my dove, and you're telling me what? This dove itself, you're a troublemaker. Keep your doves away, or whatever, keep your traps away. don't trap near town. Why? Because our doves can go far, 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 far. Stop from one dove cot to another one, to another dove city, another pigeonville, another one, until it will reach you, the dangerous dove trapper hunter. What do you want from my life? The Maisa, another what do you want from my life? Anyway, there's a problem because he's near the actual dovecots. Now, if this is a city, yeah, this is a city, and people of the city say, "You go away from us, you mechutzav. What are you doing? We live over here. We have our pigeons over here, nice and good and well kept, and you want to put your dovecot over your trap over here? That's dangerous, right? So how far should I go? Only 4 meal, only 4, right? But if there's a whole line of dove centers, service centers, here and here and here and here, then you should go far away, all the way out there. But Frank the Gemara, if I have a dove place over here at the end, so anyhow I have to keep a distance from there, right? Why is the city the center of danger? If this belongs to Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda, so anyhow I have to keep 4 meal away from Yehuda. So why do you tell me there's a special halacha, stay 100 meal away from town, because there's lots of other dove areas in the area. Dovecot. So stop. So from the last dovecot, you count 4 and finish. Well, why do you have a special halacha for that? That is of itself is a danger, is a source of danger, which you may catch the doves from the very last station of doves. And says the Gemara, he belongs to Mackenzie. Nobody is allowed to steal from Mackenzie. But I don't have to be super careful regarding if Mackenzie's dove flies into my trap. I don't have to keep Harchokas Nizikin 4 meal. So Mitzad Mackenzie, and he has the monopoly. Mackenzie is the one who owns all the dovecots in the area. But here, that city is Bnei Brakville. This is a Yiddish place, Yiddish shtot. So Mitzad not catching the Jewish birds, that's the only chash. Mackenzie's birds, I don't care about. With all the respect, I'm not stealing from him. I don't have to go especially far away from him in order to avoid it. So now, Mitzad them, I'm not supposed to catch the bird, yes. But the Jewish birds may fly one stopover of Mackenzie, another stopover of Mackenzie, another McKinley, another McCormick, another Abdul Rahman. So Lamaisa, they will eventually get to my trap, right? So technically speaking, the Jewish doves are at risk because they have many, many stopovers to take them to my trap. Therefore, my trap has to be way further. The Shank and those in the middle themselves, the actual doves in between, they're not a concern because they're Mackenzie doves. You can tell. Yeah, you can see that the goyish, the hoisema b'dehefker, or a hefker. You can have a place even without yonim. You have a place of yonim hefker. Somebody had all these dove cots, and he went into high tech. He was mafkir all the doves and all the dove cots, and no problem. It's hefker. That's not a concern. The only concern is that those deserted dove cots are now a very good place for those doves from the town, the Jewish ones, that they will fly and have many, many, many stopovers, and therefore it's keilu closer. My trap should go much further than that. Another good answer. He has his own dovecots without doves inside. He has many, many. Why he has them, I don't know. Maybe from his previous lifetime. But the person himself has the day. He has the 1 second, please. I want to check something. He has his own. Yeah. Okay, very good. He has his own yonim over there. He has his own yonim here. So now, mitzad the town, that's a chashash. That doesn't belong to you. So you're not allowed to have trap your own yonim. Bevakasha. Why not? But lamaisa, because your dovecots could be good stopovers for those who live in town, and they may fly and stop, fly, stop, all the way to your trap. Make sure your trap is far away, very, very far away from the very last dove place, and only there you should locate it. Okay? So let's summarize. So if there's nothing in the area, just clear sky, just nothing, what should you have? Your dove trap device. Next time you trap a pigeon, you have to know today. What are you going to do today? You're going to trap pigeons. How far should you go from the Chemish? Daled, how much? You said 8,000 amas. Okay, 4 kilometers is a distance. Before that, nothing doing. But if there are places where the doves can actually rest in between, and have a stopover. In that case, that's a different story. Then you should make it much further because the yonim can actually have many more places to go. So make sure you're far enough from the very, very last one. Okay? Let's start the new pair. Hadalach Merubah, guys. Wow, who would ever believe we got here? Ooh. We made it. Merubah was the hardest perek in Bava Kama, you know that? Officially. If you did Merubah, you can do all the rest. We only have 4 more prokim to go. 8th perek is not. I want to continue a little bit more. 8th perek is going to be starting tomorrow. Then 9th and only 3 more. 8, 9, 10. The 9th and the 10th are also about stealing. The 8th one, which we start in Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow, maybe even today we'll start a little bit, is about punching your friend in the nose. Don't do that. Yeah, damages, which we spoke about before. A person damages his friend, harms him physically, he has to pay 5 different things. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We're starting just a little bit of taste of HaChoyvel Bezos Hashem 8 L'malam Min HaTeva. Some of this perek I'm not going to be here with you, but you're going to have an upgrade. Rav Berman will lead you through the perek. Hashem. HaChoyvel Bechaveiroi. A person harmed his friend. A person hurt his friend physically. Chayev Olav Mishum Chamisha Dvorim. He has to pay him 5 different payments. What are they? The nezek. Nezek means what? Damage. The basic damage, the worth of the person. The person who was worth X with a hand is worth X minus Y without a hand. You have to pay him Y. Bitzal, what's tzal? Physical pain. How much would a person pay to avoid the pain? How much would you pay for anesthetic? You have to go through a surgery, chlila. How much would you pay privately for the anesthetics? That's a tzar. Beripui is medical expenses. Besides the fact that he's worth less, and also you caused him pain, now he has to pay for the doctor. Yeah, whether the kupa covers, doesn't cover, the damager has to pay the medical expenses. Roife, b'sheves, you lost work. Now it's true you can't work in old work anymore as a brain surgeon because why? You don't have your hand. You can still do something else. You can be maybe a shomer bitachon in the kindergarten, but either that you lost 2 or 3 weeks of work because you're in hospital for 3 weeks. So you have to pay for that loss of work, for the lost time at work. Uboishes, for the embarrassment, for the shemtzach. The boishes, you have to pay him. How much you assess that is very hard. We'll see that in the Mishnah towards the end of the perek. But those 5 things you have to pay, and all have their sources in the Torah, most of them Parshas Mishpatim, and we'll see now. The nezek keitzad. Nezek keitzad. How do you assess, how do you evaluate a person's value? Person's neshama value. How do you actually assess the value of a person before or after the damage? Keitzad, how's that? Simes einoi, lo leinu, he blinded him. Kota es yodoi, he cut off his hand, severed his hand. Shiber sagloi, broke his foot, his leg. Roin oiso ki'ilu eved nimkar b'shuk. We see him as if he's a slave sold in the market. So don't have any visions in your mind of slaves over 200 years ago in America. It means how much is he worth in the job market. Yeah, on the website, LinkedIn, whatever. When people want to hire that person with good eyesight, with good hands, an able man, and he has a degree, and he has whatever, or he has the ability, how much would be hired as a truck driver, as a doctor, however much he could have been worth by market value in the job market, then you have to assess you have to assess how much would such a person would be worth in the job market looking for work with a healthy hand and without a healthy hand. And that difference, yeah, you ask the people in the job market, the potential employers, and this is how we assess it, and we decide now you have to pay him that amount of money. Says Rashi, he made him lose this money. Let's say he would have to. Rashi says, even if you look at it as real Eved, let's say he would have to, he would have actually sold himself as an Eved Ivri. Let's say the guy has no job. Let's say the guy today is not working in anything, or the guy sits in koilel, or the guy does something which does not even require skills with his, I don't know, with his ears, like that. But now you hurt his ear and he's half deaf. Had he wanted to be an Eved Ivri with the hearing and without the hearing would be different. So because potentially there's a job here that he lost, and his value, it's not because of the job, that's the way to assess his value. His value as an able man, as an Eved that has to run around and do things, was decreased. Therefore, you have to pay that difference. That is how you assess the person. I think that culture can if the person has a job, right? If the person lost his job, he was a doctor, now he's not a doctor anymore. So now, of course, before he got X, now he gets Y. So that difference you have to pay, the difference of the value of the person. Today, Lamais, it's harder to assess because today they don't evaluate the person's being worth. They give you a monthly salary. Yeah. But Lamais said the Eved Ivri was a good way to assess it. Because Eved Ivri, you don't pay him per month. You pay whoever you pay him as what he is worth as a person, is a one-off payment. So you know how much a person is worth. You get what I'm saying? That's an easier way of assessing how much a person himself is worth. I would hire him and pay him a one-off payment of $1 million. And without the hand, I would pay $500,000 to buy him, like to buy football players. Yeah, he is worth 20 million, that football guy. So now he's worth 10 million because he hurt his leg a little bit. So that 10 million, the football player, the soccer player, before and after, the other team would buy him for that amount of money. Yeah. So then you have to pay him 10 million. Okay, that's bigadol. Okay, thank you. We'll see more tomorrow. It's Hashem. I hope my throat gets back to itself. Thank you for your patience and have a great day.